Hello, how are you?
Hello, hello.
Okay, we are getting together today to record our fourth conversation on our podcast here, The Mystic Cradle. And today we're going to go through a little bit more structure. We're trying it out. You and I are both kind of all over the place. So we've put together some structure for those who have more air energy and they're like, what is going on here? I'm having a hard time following. We're going to try to stay on track, but when the magic hits, and we got to go through with it. So, today, the theme that we're going to be unpacking and sharing insights on is stepping into your greatness. And you and I were just having a private conversation about this and how difficult it is to take that initiation. But it's really the calling we're all here to answer, which is stepping into our greatness. So I'm going to take a second here just to allow you to introduce yourself, just in case you're jumping in, listening for the first time. Go right ahead.
Hi, I'm Osha. My name on Instagram is In Search for Me because that's what I've been doing the last years, searching for me and finding and losing again. And that's what we are all here together, I think, in
Mhm.
search for us, for our greatness, for our going through our shadows and finding the greatness and trying to embrace that, which is not always easy.
No. And that's how you and I know each other because when I got into my big existential crisis, which has probably been going on for about 10 years, if I'm being honest, happened when I had that first Saturn return, which is coincidentally lining up when you had your burnout. So we're going all the way back to 2017, right? So
Yes, my burnout
2017,
is 2017.
that's when I had my Saturn return in 2017. So you and I started our spiritual initiations and that journey and getting into the yoke of life and starting to unpack those deeper philosophical questions of why are we here around the exact same time. Yet I'm going through this yoking period of being in the void in the northern hemisphere in Canada, which is where I'm based out of, and
I'm
you
in Northern too. It's just on the other
on
side.
the opposite side. Right,
Yeah.
right. North America is what I meant to say. And
Yeah.
where you are situated, were you in the Netherlands at that time?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yes. So here we have two souls that are starting to crack through the surface of the conditioning of the third dimension. And it's painful. The birthing process is so painful. It's dark. And over a series of events that have happened in the last 7 years, we have come together. Our energies have found each other again because we feel that we are souls that have been doing this work together for eons and eons and eons.
Yes.
And there is no such thing as space and time anymore because we've been able to eliminate the illusion of those borders and come together and serve the collective, which is why we are in the mystic cradle and doing the work that we're doing.
You were saying going into the yoke or something, and I thought we are so far away from that. Yoke is like, it's like golden middle. It's like when you get there, it's like the juice and the expansiveness and all that. And it's like often it feels like going through so much shit and dirt and you know, cleaning up everything that has not been done in years and decades and maybe in lifetimes.
Yeah. And I think that's why going to like getting into our theme of our conversation, this is why sometimes the ego holds us back from stepping into our greatness because we are held back by previous projections of ourselves and stories and lies and judgments and all those awful, dirty things that make us human. Somehow, I think in the mind, there's resin there that's like, I'm not worthy enough or I'm not good enough to take aligned action. That's for somebody else. That's what other people deserve. That's not what I deserve. And that's what separates us from others until we become part of that pack together in the collective.
Yeah, who do you think you are? You
Who do
know,
you think you are?
at the
Oh my
moment we
God.
think like, okay, I could do that. It's like all these thoughts are running. Who do you think you are? Like,
Exactly.
how in the world do you think that you can carry that energy, that title? Because we are all about the titles, about the titles that we put on our forehead, and we cannot live without them. But at the moment something really great starts to emerge from us, it's like, whoa, no, I can't wear that.
Yeah.
And you know what I noticed? It's probably not according to our plan, but it just pops in my mind. What helps us to step into our greatness is when we do that from the place that it's not about us.
Mm-hmm.
It's truly serving the collective. And even if I look ridiculous, even if everybody thinks crazy, I just can't hold this anymore within me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the only way, because once we do that, it often feels like, man, I'm so crazy to do that.
But when you step into the void and you allow yourself to free fall, you come to this conclusion, or you come to this place of safety that you're going to be caught. You're going to be caught, because on your way, as you're learning to fly, as you're learning to ascend, right? As you're learning to grow spiritually and go through that transcending process, you're attracting people that are on that journey as well. And you're opening yourself up to these, invisible universes that have our support systems built into them, where we have our angels, where we have our spirit guides that are there ready to catch us. It's like the invisible hand that comes and carries us. And it's so much like that poem, Footprints. Have you ever heard of that poem?
No?
Oh, it's so beautiful. So I'm just going to paraphrase it. It's called Footprints, and it's anonymous. There is no known author for it, but it's basically like a conversational piece, and there's one set of footprints, and then there's another two set of footprints on a sandbank. And it's someone recalling their journey, and they're talking to, a divinity. So I think it's like, in this case, I think it's God. And the person's asking God, why during my most difficult times in my journey, there's only one set of footprints? Why did you abandon me? And then on other parts of the journey, you're walking alongside of me and there's two sets of footprints. And then the response is, my son, during those difficult times, there's only one set of footprints because I carried you.
Oh my God.
It is beautiful.
Wow.
It's beautiful. That's just a paraphrase. Maybe we'll link it underneath here. But
Wow. Wow. Just pause there. It's we are carried. Once we come to our stillness, sorry to interrupt you, but it's just so beautiful,
mhm,
because we always expect everybody to follow us and to go with us and to cheer us, and we have that all the time.
yep,
Just because we don't see our greatness, we are so desperate to be searching that outside. It is outside, it is inside, it's just a reflection.
exactly.
So beautiful. Wow, it's just hits it right there.
It is gorgeous, because during the times of darkness where we're so solemn and we feel lonely and not visible, that is when divine timing is at its place. That's when we are being ushered and carried through life. And just allow yourself to be supported by those invisible support realms, and just allow yourself to surrender. And that's really what surrender is all about, to trust that there is divine guidance protecting you and surrounding you at all times. And once you can lean into that, you can start to relax the nervous system, relax into manifestation, relax into stepping into your greatness, because then it's not the role of the ego and its greatness in a way that is projected in the human space here, but it's the role of the ego and the soul rising together and working in consignment so that they can take the messages from the higher realms and bring them down to earth so that we can help each other out. and it's just a level of majesty and it's a level of transcendence that I think so many of us in the collective need to wake up to, because so many people are suffering with mental health, so many women are burning out, and coming to that point of, is there something more? Is there something greater for me? The answer is always yes. There's always yes. There's always hope. There's always hope.
Yes, and there are many things that are flooding through my mind. What I would like to come back to is your burnout and my burnout started 7 years ago.
Yeah.
The thing is that everybody wants it to be instant, instant healing, instant gratification. Yeah, we were there, and now we want to be pain-free. Now we want to have our tribe around us. We want to have it all. That's just not how it works.
No.
I wish I could say that differently. I could say you come to retreat and you will be a new person and everything will be arranged. No, it will not be arranged, because just like a lot of immune sicknesses we are getting because we are building up the shit for so
Yeah.
many years. So we can't take a magic pill and it can be gone in a second. No, it's work. And work is actually letting our conditions go,
Mm-hmm.
letting the expectations go, letting the traumas go. And that's work. That takes time. And my time might not be your time. What I did in 7 years, you might be doing in a year or maybe in 3 months. I don't know. There are no rules at how it will work. But
Mm-hmm.
just realizing that if we keep on going at the same pace as we are going, changing nothing, not stopping to see who we are, we will end where we are leading now.
Mm-hmm.
And for us to change it, to come back to ourselves, we need to stop.
Mm-hmm.
We need to stop so that we can peel off the layers of all these false beliefs that we learned from others, that others told us, that pushed on us, that whatever the story is of how we got them. But all those beliefs of us not being enough, of us being too much, of us doing all the wrong things, we need to let them go. And that's like taking off layers and layers of clothes, of skin, letting them go. And that's grieving too.
Yeah.
Let all that go. And only then, and that can happen simultaneously, that looking for our own tribe, or actually, no, we don't look for our own tribe. Our tribe comes to us,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you are a projector. But our tribe, how will they find us if we are pretending we are someone who we are not?
Yeah.
They will not recognize us because they will not be able to love us. They might like us or tolerate us because of all the masks that we put on to be liked, because we are afraid to step out, to really show, to accept for ourselves, and to show to others who we truly are.
Mm-hmm.
And we often don't even know who we are. We have to start stepping into that role. Sometimes you can step in like that, but a lot of cases, it's not like that. You start moving towards something that is more pure,
Mm-hmm.
that is more light, that feels more aligned with something that is inside. So for me, they are like three big chunks of time and happening: the old life, the new life, and there is this in between.
Mm-hmm. That's the yoking, though. It's always happening at the same time.
Oh, that's yoking. Okay, I thought
Yeah.
yoking is the new one, the hallelujah. Okay, I see now. Yes.
It's the integration. It's always happening at different points. And we talk about yoking a lot in yoga and through the yamas and the niyamas, and how things can be messy and chaotic at the same time that they can be flowing and making sense. Things could be falling apart at the exact same time that things are coming together. These are universal laws. These are spiritual laws. There's different ones that I talked about there, but it's sustaining balance through all those learning curves that you get tested with along the way. And a big part of stepping into your greatness is accepting that you're going to be tested. And that's part of the human condition. Part of the human condition is coming in here with a blank slate of expectations and just going along with the journey and the adventure. But humans have been so over domesticated, in without domestication, we're just wild animals as well. What separates us from the animals is our ability to have a higher degree of communication, yet we are doing a shitty job at communicating what we need in terms of our desires, our emotional support, in terms of our dreams, in terms of everything. So we've just become putty. We've just become putty and molding clay for those who are in charge because they see, oh my gosh, we can just keep domesticating this animal over and over and over and over and just giving them, little bits of serotonin, little bits of dopamine hits along the way, and they will never bite back. And we are rewilding in the process. And that means we are angry. This means that we want to destroy things. This means that we have a lot of unresolved feelings of when did all of this shit happen? Because it's like this domestication didn't just happen to me, it happened to my mom and her mom and everyone before that. And that should make us mad. That should make us mad, but mad enough that you want to rattle and break out of that and find yourself and find your greatness instead of having this predisposition handed over to you that, hey, this is your fortune cookie for the rest of your life. And this is where you're going to be. You're just going to sit in this box and you're going to play nice and you're not going to question the programming. And the moment that you do that, you have that marked departure. Guess what? Yes, you've chosen to free yourself, but it's lonely when you do that. It's dark when you do that. Nothing has been defined. You are there to carve your own path moving forward. And that's why it's scary. That's why I believe it's so hard for people to do that because they know they are not going to be in company with their comforts. People are not going to follow them there. They are going to be alienated, probably ostracized. They're not going to know who they are. But what more is left? You can't relate anymore to the world that you have been enslaved in. You have no option but to start over, to rebirth yourself. And that's stepping into greatness, is rewiring all of that DNA and just kind of going with the flow of the changes and accepting that it gets better as you step further and further into self-mastery. This is your entire, hero's journey through life. I'm just at the doorway of that. And like I said, we started 7 years ago, but I accept that this is the tandem of my life. This is the speed in which I will travel, having my Aquarius rising be, my guide through this life, having my North Node be in Taurus in this life tells me that there's going to be so much spiritual revolution when it comes to how I sync up into humanity in this world, but it's going to take time to understand that evolution. It's going to take time. And I have to accept that at, 38 years old, where I'm at today, yes, I will keep transcending over and over and over as we evolve in time, but that's none of my business to figure out at this point where and how things will be. I will just accept, the invitation to bring myself along for the journey. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yes. But it's also like I'm listening and it's very beautiful. It's a beautiful journey once you know where you are going. And like a lot of us don't, especially in the beginning of the journey, we don't. Like, what should I do? I need to do something new and I need to know it now. So I go 2 days workshop to figure out my business plan, my strategy, my goal, perfect um, group to market, all that, we try to pave the highway already.
Yeah,
Well,
smart goals.
it sorry.
Smart goals. They have to be actionable and measurable and realistic.
Yes, you can't hit a goal that you don't see.
Yeah,
Well, what if I don't see? And what if I'm okay with
yeah,
that I don't see? Like one of my archetypes is hermit.
same.
And if you know a hermit from tarot, it's an old guy with a lantern in the mountains.
Yeah,
So he sees 2 steps forward. That's all there is.
yeah,
So to have the courage to take these 2 steps and to have faith that the lantern will again show you the next 2 steps.
yeah,
And every step of the way, you can choose right or left. You don't need to know it's that way or that way. Like there's the I don't know if it's an English expression, but in Dutch they say um, a dot on the horizon. Like
hmm
that's where we are going. What if we don't know where we are going?
yeah,
We just know that where we are right now and where we are going, it's like it's not going to go well.
yeah,
It
yeah,
destroys our body, our soul, our nervous system, emotions. We feel dead inside.
yeah.
So this is not the way.
No,
And if we know, we make that one step and we will see from there where is our next step. If we liked it, we go more in that direction. If not, we are allowed to change. We don't need to make a 5-year plan, 50-year plan for the future and to know it all. And
hmm
I think that's also very big point why people
it,
doubt so much. What should I do? What should I do? Should I go right? Should I go left? Well, in the meantime, they don't do anything, and that's okay. You don't have to do anything if you are okay with that.
yeah,
That's part of the healing. But if you are doubting all the time and stressing about should I go right or should I go left, that's what is killing. The indecisiveness, like we were talking today,
yeah,
this indecisiveness is really killing. It's
yeah,
being afraid to make a wrong choice.
yeah,
And even, I mean, it's still so much in me. I do something like pick up something at the shop and oh, should I have taken the other one? Hell no, I took it. There was a
right.
reason. Just
Yeah,
move on.
yeah,
So stop doubting yourself and every step of the way.
yeah, absolutely. And I have to bring this up because this was my experience. I didn't feel that I had a lot of self-doubt, but Chris, my husband, was full of self-doubt. So when I called him, like back in 2022, I'll never forget this conversation. I had this instant download, and basically it was like, go blow up your life, quit your job, go full time into your coaching business. It's going to be amazing. In retrospect, I should have probably questioned that intuitive hit a little bit more and taken less risk, but I wasn't in a place to question. I was in a place to receive. And this is where it doesn't make sense. So I just called him and he was at work and I said, do you trust me? And he was like, of course I do. Why? I'm like, I'm about to do something stupid. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, do you trust me? He said, yes. And I held on to that. And because I was going to maybe weaponize it a little bit down the future. But when I started going and really exploring these edges of stepping into, spiritual mentorship and really starting to hone in on my craft and starting to listen to my intuition more and be guided by my intuition and starting to let go of all that conditioning. The opposition was on the outside. It wasn't so much on the inside. So every day I felt like my husband was like, what did you achieve today? What is your plan for tomorrow? What's happening next week? We have all these things to do. We have all these bills to pay. And I felt like he was the tax man just ready to take a pound of flesh away from me. And it got so intense to a point that he said to me, who are you to live your dreams, Aileen? Everybody wants to live their dreams, but that's not reality. And then I looked at him and I said, you don't believe in me. I'm like, well, I believe in me. So you can leave because there's the door, puppy. I don't even care if you stay here or not. I will live in a 1 bedroom apartment and take my children with me because that's how much I believe in myself. I'll walk away from all of this. So you decide right now. Because if you don't believe in me, why are we married? Why are we together? This is a facade. This is an illusion. So, that created a big separation. That's what was our breaking point in our marriage. Well, it wasn't breaking point because now we were able to work through it. But in my initiation process, I took him with me. I took him with me and I shook up his core like values and realities of what it meant to succeed in life. And he had everybody in his ear telling him I had lost my mind, I was unstable, I couldn't make decisions with finances, I shouldn't be responsible. It was all like, stop her right now, cut her down, cut her down, cut her down. She's wilding out too much, she's becoming too much. She's aborting the program. She's not following the program. And
Oh
I
my
felt
goodness.
it every single day coming off of my husband. And that's when I decided we needed to separate until he figured out that that was a clown show and that was a circus that I was leaving. So, I had to keep saying to him, you have to trust the process. I didn't know it either, but I was being divinely guided. That was not my strength. That was God's strength speaking through me, saying, it's going to be fine. It's going to be okay. But on the inside, I was like, shit, I don't know these answers, but I know enough to tell you that it's going to be fine.
I admire you so much for being so strong in the situation, in the condition that you are telling. Wow. Wow.
I know I should have kicked him in the face.
I didn't say that.
But that's just my big Aries energy talking there. But I know so many women that hold themselves back because they're afraid of their partner's growth. And if their partner is resisting their activation and resisting their initiation into them finding themselves, they really need to question that. They really need to sit with that because they're either going to be taking a leadership role in their relationship where they say, you know what? I'm driving this part of our relationship. I'm in charge here. And you're just going to have to be the observer while we go through this bumpy, unknown road together. So put on your seatbelt, put on your crash helmet. We're going. This is an adventure. Or it goes the other way where you open up the door and you leave them on the curve because you're going anyways. You're driving into the unknown. That's how strong these initiations are to step into that journey of self-greatness. It is so much unshakable trust in yourself that you have to do what you have to do to get past those early struggles, to get the engine running, to get the gas in the car, to be able to learn how to figure it out, to turn on the vehicle of life and to find a compass and to get going.
You are such a manifesting generator. It's such a pleasure to listen to you. You're hilarious.
Well,
And
he's a Manny Gen too. He was just a sleepy one. I had to boost his car cables, man. I'm like, let's go here. What are you doing? Get out of the
he,
programming.
he would not have survived if he was not a manager, and he would just have collapsed.
I'm sure he almost did a few times. That really tested him. Like he had a lot of white hair after this experience. And
Oh
he's
man.
like, he would tell me, he's like, if I had any hair left, it would have fallen off already, Aileen. My God. But I'm like, are we not here for an adventure? I'm like, what did you want to do? Look back on your life and say, I worked, I
Oh,
went on
man.
holiday once a year, I had a mediocre marriage, my kids were all right, they did okay. I'm like, for some people, that is what fuels them. I'm like, but you didn't marry that person. You married me and all the surprises that come with me. So if you really meant your vows, and maybe this is where it's like a little controversial, but I'm like, but if you really meant your vows and you really meant that you were growing with me, then you would be honest with yourself and say, you married a 26-year-old who had no idea who she was. I'm 38. I still have no idea who I am. And that's what you accept when you make a long-term commitment to someone, even yourself, that you don't know what you're getting. You don't know what you're getting. You just roll with it.
One thing what you said, that might fuel some people or whatever you phrased it. I don't think it fuels anybody. No, it's just we are conditioned to accept that this is how shit works.
Yeah.
It doesn't fuel. It's not a fuel. It's, it's like sawdust to fill in. That's
Yeah.
all there is. It's not a fuel. It's not a juice. It's not revitalizing you. It's giving you the force to live and the joy and love and, this explosive energy that we are here to experience.
Exactly. 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 That's why I think I was so burnt out because I was so disconnected from my passions in life. I was so disconnected from me, and stepping into, that truth about myself was very scary because I had to abandon everything I did to create that mask I was showing up with in the world. And by the time I had started to decide that I was going to, question my process, question my journey up until that point, to the outside world, I looked like I was a pretty well put together, high level professional because I had, set my arrow in that direction that that's who I would become because I needed to protect myself from judgment. I needed to protect myself from shame because I had a lifetime of secrecy of feeling different. And I didn't want to feel different anymore. But in retrospect, feeling your uniqueness and what differentiates you in this world is what sets you free. But we oppose that. We think that that's bad, tapping into our authenticity, because we measure it against what everyone else is doing in the collective. We measure it against, keeping up with the Joneses, as they say, right? All these cliches just make so much more sense as you get older, but it's so true. And the moment I was like, okay, no, I don't know anybody who has done what I have done, but what if I'm the first? What if I just happen to be the first one? Because I've never been in a position where I've come first in anything in my life. And I always tease my husband about this because, he's a very successful like athlete his whole life. So he was used to getting first place in everything and trophies. Very like, you know what I mean? But like a soft winner, I would call him. And I was the kid that just won the participation ribbon. I would show up to these, events, and I knew I wasn't going to win. I knew I wasn't going to place. I was always short. I was always kind of awkward. It was hard for me to move my body the way that I wanted to. Pure signature of an Aquarius rising, always kind of feel a little insecure in their body. Um, so I wasn't prepared for that greatness because I've never been prepared to win. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. My experience is different because until I moved to the Netherlands, I was like crushing it everywhere. I
Mm,
was popular. I was good at sports, good at study, all of it, and like making career. All was going well. And when I came here, it like crushed. So actually, you experienced that um, the curse of being an immigrant
yes.
from your early life.
Yeah.
And I experienced after I was 30.
Oh, so that was your Saturn return lesson.
I moved to Belgium, I think, when I had my Saturn return for three and a
Okay.
half years. And then I moved to the Netherlands. But it's like nothing was working here for me. I was losing job after job after job. And every time I would lose the job, I would go just for a higher function. Of course I can do it. I've never done it, but watch me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was crushing, and I was like working myself into the deeper and deeper hole.
Yeah. Just to try to
Just to
be
show
visible.
the
Yeah.
others I can do it
Yeah.
until I couldn't.
Yeah.
And it was beyond shame. I just couldn't do it. I got a blackout on the highway, and I thought, okay, yeah, that sounds like a moment to call in sick.
Yeah.
But a week before that, I knew it was not really going well, but I would not have called that a burnout
Yeah.
because my experience was that I didn't see how deep in the shit I was, how everything was burnt out.
Yeah.
My mind, my emotions, my body, everything was just done, gone. So people are going from their last forces and thinking they still have it all together.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they think, oh yeah, this is not completely together, but okay, I will fix it. It's quite okay. And
Mm-hmm.
they're pushing.
Yeah.
And it's because it's scary. It's to stop and to say, maybe that's not the right path. It's scary. And we all have a lot of things. We have there's a salary, there are nice vacations, there's a house, there's a car, there are all these materialistic things for what we are doing it.
Yeah.
If you stop like you stopped, it like you trust me, you have faith in me, then I do my shit. Like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah. Like I said, in retrospect, I probably would have done things differently, but I was at a point of desperation where I felt I couldn't remain invisible anymore. I was, you know, a mom, I was a legal analyst, I was a wife, I was something major and held a lot of responsibility in all other areas of my life, except I had no responsibility to myself. I wasn't taking good care of myself. I didn't know about my proper nutrition. I wasn't exercising. I wasn't taking in mindfulness meditation. I always joke, I'm like a yoga teacher now, and I teach mindfulness and meditation for women that are going through, that collapse, that crisis gate. But I would have never, ever self-identified as having burnout or even having a problem or needing a break. I used to say, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I'm here to burn out. I'm here to put in all the work because I'm going to enjoy the fruits of my labor when I'm 40, 50 years old. But that's an illusion. That's not true. If you keep going at it at the pace where you're burning the wick at both ends, there is nothing to enjoy. When you come into retirement and you finally, make it across that Freedom 55 line, if you haven't done the work in between, you're going to end up feeling a vast emptiness when you get to that pseudo finish line. And that's what I realized. And I'm
And
like,
yeah, oh yeah.
sorry, but I was just saying it. And that's where, when I started to cast my consciousness 20 years, 30 years, if I get to live that long, I'm like, will I be proud of my marriage? Will I be proud of my career? Will I be proud of what I did for myself? And all my answers were no. And that is a very honest self-evaluation. And that's me looking at myself in the mirror and being like, this is not me. This is not what I wanted to do in life. This is not what I wanted to accomplish here. And that wasn't my ego talking at that point. That was my soul desperately seeking to have a place in this life and reminding me and waking me up saying, we came here for you. We brought gifts for you. We selected this for you. Let's start to birth them out into the material world. Bring those gifts, those psychic talents, those healing talents, that intuition you have, the things you feel you need to be ashamed of, you get out there and you put them out there. And it was very uncomfortable, but this is the yoking of my ego being so separate from my soul and slowly starting to merge those two together. And it does take having that raw, honest conversation with yourself over and over and over, but making the space and time to be in that discomfort and to be in that unraveling and sit in that shit. No one wants to hang out for an hour and a half in their feelings of how much, the things that make them uncomfortable. But that's what builds character. That's what builds strength. And that's what creates this resilience, I believe, that enables you to live your greatest calling.
Yes, you are talking about intuition. I think when I was working for the corporate, I had no clue what intuition is. What is intuition? Like the voices in the head, I didn't have those either. Not that I have them now, but it's like intuition, like animals have instinct. What is this intuition? What am I supposed to do with that?
Mm.
I have my planning, I have my goals, I have all the strategy and the schedule of intuition, that there is no place for intuition. We don't need it, we don't do it.
Mhm.
There is no intuition, the intuition is really like it's so much further along the line once we really come still with ourselves. And yeah, for me, it was just way further.
I was born with it. So I was raised in a home where, like, there was no time where I guess I could say I was normal. I was wearing the normal pants in this world. I have always been the kid that had vivid dreams, that could talk to spirits, that could sense things before they were happening. I had so many things happen in those 5 years that I lived back home, that and relatives confirming it, myself confirming it, like I had a premonition of an earthquake and telling my mom about it. The earthquake hit like not too long after I had spoken to her about it. Um, I knew my baby cousin was sleeping upstairs and that earthquake was coming. Somehow I went upstairs and I have vivid memory of me holding up this massive shelf from collapsing on the baby. I don't know how at 5 years old I could hold a shelf in the middle of an earthquake, but I had this intuition to go and do it. I had a dream I remember so vividly when I was, I think, 3.5, maybe 4 years old, and I woke up crying because I thought my dad had died. And my mom came to talk to me at my bedside, and I said I had a dream and I was standing with dad on the highway and he was in a truck accident and he died. And I'm describing it in detail, and my dad had been in the room and he's like, "No, I'm here." And they're both trying to calm me down and I was completely overwhelmed. But then my dad, both my parents are intuitives as well. And my dad is like, "It can't be that Aileen is talking about, so and so." My dad had a cousin who had passed away years before I was born in a trucking accident on the highway. So these are things I'd have no like human memory of, but I was able to connect with even at this young age. So I've always known these things about myself, but my parents, moving from Costa Rica and coming to Canada, my parents did not encourage me to, put my whole self out there. They were like, "You got to be normal." And I heard that so much growing up. Be normal, be normal, be normal, be normal. You can't be too much. Cut back on this. So for me, I had to stuff all that into a corporate suit and just kind of like suffocate my way through life and just train myself to keep my mouth shut, train myself to not speak on my intuition. And that's what was suffocating me.
You know, we were planning to call this episode like stepping into your greatness, which, yes, it is stepping into our greatness, but we step into our greatness when we are okay not to be normal.
Yeah.
Once we have been conditioned the whole life to be normal by the others, by the parents, by the teachers, by the friends, by ourselves. Yeah, stepping into our greatness is not to be normal anymore. That's
Hmm.
scary. That shit freaks people out.
Yeah.
The ones who do it and the ones who are around it.
Yeah.
There is no in between. You can't be normal and to be great. You can't. It's a choice.
Hmm.
And you don't have to choose like, okay, today I'm 100% normal and tomorrow I'm 100% right there. You can go in 100 days, 1% per day, a tiny step towards how am I great? What does it mean being great? It
Hmm.
just simply means you feel good about yourself. You're
Exactly.
comfortable in your body, in your space, in your relationships with yourself, with others, in everything, every step that you do, you feel good.
I love that you said that because it's so true. Like we tend to overcomplicate things and make them seem so much more trivial than they need to be. Because at the end of the day, stepping into your greatness is just about allowing your soul to have a place into this world and just being who you are meant to be and embracing your unique energetic signature, your blueprint. And that demarcation of going from just ego focused to serving the ego, serving the desires of the ego, to then rising towards that soul's purpose journey, to get a little bit, spiritual on you a little bit here more. It's about just embracing who you are. And in a retreat space, and what you and I bring and the gifts that we bring to this retreat is that we see you and we listen and we help you reconnect to your soul in a way that is easy, in a way that you're at peace and that you feel relaxed to just be who you are.
It's, like when you do a puzzle, these jigsaw puzzles, when you find the right one, it just drops in there. You don't need to push it. Like sometimes you think, oh, that one, it looks like it could fit. No, it doesn't fit. That's how it goes. And when you find the right place, it just falls in and it stays there. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's how it is. And we are grid workers, you and me. And the human design gate 44 and the bees brought us to that what we are already doing, and we have forgotten or we never knew
Yeah.
that in the dream arc of the gene keys, the gene key 44, where we both have our south node, is the grid worker.
Mhm.
The grid worker that feels, that knows, that smells how it is. You smelled the divine frequencies the last time.
Mhm.
That's the highest frequency, the city of 44. And the bees were bringing that to us. When we are grid working, we see where people fit into the grid work.
Mhm.
We feel them. Like my gift is I see the greatness in people. I might not often see greatness in me, but I see in the others. And it's
Mhm.
like, how can you not see that?
Mhm.
And I feel and I see where they belong in the world. And it doesn't have to be, the grid like, oh yeah, this is Paris, this is Moscow, this is this. No, it's like where you fall in the jigsaw puzzle and where it feels like natural falling in and you belong there. It's anchoring into your soul. That's what it is to find your place in the world. It's not like you need to look for it, you need to miles and miles circling the world. No, it's falling down into your soul's mission, which feels effortless.
Mhm.
What feels good to us to do. That's all there is. We don't need to search far away.
Mhm.
It's just doing what gives peace and joy to our soul.
Yeah. What
Because
gives
it,
it pleasure to wake up in the morning?
yes, yes. Like I was taking the dishes out of the dishwasher today, and the smile comes in. And I think that's happiness, you know, when smile comes from inside, when you do something mundane as taking out the dishes of the dishwasher, or having a really deep breath in the morning while still lying in bed, is like this. Because when we don't do that, when we feel lion is chasing us, we
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
Our breath is here. So
Yeah.
the breath is such a huge um, indicator for me for how someone is.
Mhm.
If we can relax in our bodies, if we can let the breath come and nurture every cell of our body, we are in peace.
Mhm.
All these things like stepping into our greatness, it doesn't mean, you know, saving the world. No, first of all, we
No.
need to save ourselves.
That's what I mean. There's this tendency to overcomplicate things and to see it through this, this pseudo lens of, oh, this is what greatness means, and compare it to, like these big triumphant heroic examples that we see out there. And I think that's what makes it scary, because we do have these like pop culture figures that are always inundating us all the time, and social media is the worst with that, because it's always playing on our emotions, and it makes us feel, especially in like my generation, like, oh, I can't, I don't fit into that category of achieving my best self or my greatness, because, I don't physically want to climb mountains. I don't want to go and be in ashram. I don't want to do these things. So then people feel like spirituality isn't available to them because they've already outsourced it to something that doesn't fit in with who they are to begin with. And it is so simple. It is that happiness when you wake up in the morning. It is that sense of relaxation. It is that first sip of coffee, that sense of relief, your ability to smell and to take in your sensory experience of the world is a huge gift. It is a massive gift. And I think so many people take that for granted, your ability to see the world, to feel it, to sense it, to smell it, to touch it, to be a part of it. Your soul came for that sensory experience, and people are just buzzing right past it, and they're not stopping to drop in and to have that sensory connection with the body. And I was saying this in one of my meditation sessions last night with a group, and I had the shamanic drumming going in the background, and I was
Mm,
taking them into the body, and I was saying, we don't hear the heart from the outside, and the drumming helps us to connect with our beat as if we are living inside of the body, so then that we can start to raise our vibration. So it was an invitation to go into the body and to connect to the heart and to listen to the heart. And this is how your organs are experiencing your heartbeat. This is how your breath is experiencing your heartbeat. And all of that should make sense. All of that is part of who you are. It's just part of the background of who you are. But it doesn't mean that it's not as important as all the other things in between that time. So that shamanic drumming, that small, like dun, 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 dun,
mm.
just to bring that perception, hey, I am a living being, and there is just a gift in that sentence, in that proclamation, in and of its own. I am a living being.
It's such a beautiful bridge to what came to me now. One of the things why we don't want to feel is because we are afraid it's not going to be good,
Mhm.
because we are so conditioned to judge. This
Mhm.
is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. I want this, I don't want that. And when we receive pain, our instant reaction is, that's wrong, I don't want it. This should end as soon as possible. And what if we accept that it's pain, it's here to teach us something, to show us something, to mirror something that is inside of us.
Yeah.
What if we expand into it? We
Mhm.
breathe, we give it our attention and our curiosity,
Mhm.
and just time for us to get to know. Hello, pain. I haven't seen you for a while. What are you doing here? What did you come here to teach me?
Yeah.
How long have you been waiting for this? Just silly questions. They are no good or bad questions. Just whatever comes into your mind is good. Go with that. Be
Yeah.
curious. Like at the moment, I have a conversation and I think, oh my goodness, that's a crazy idea. How in the world do you think this is true? I am already in the wrong because I think I know. I am arrogant in that because
Mhm.
I think I know. And I miss the opportunity to learn how is it that the other person believes this?
Yeah.
And I'm falling into that hole often enough.
Oh, that is such a good point that you make because sometimes we want to force what it is that we have to learn from, right? We think, oh, nothing. I've come across so many women who, we start to do the inner child healing work and they're disconnected. They can't remember their childhood, or they say it wasn't that bad, or my mom and dad did the best that they could, right?
That's the best one. It
This
wasn't
is,
that bad. It was hell, but
yeah,
well, I had a happy childhood.
yeah. And it's not, the thing is that we tend to put these measuring spoons on our trauma, right? Big T trauma, little T trauma. Oh, this was just a little tiny thing, but it could have been something that was small, but for your person, for your aura, for your soul, it was a big thing. It was a big thing, and you grabbed onto it and you formed an archetype based on that infraction, right? So you don't know what it is that is meant to be your teacher. You can't control it. It could be something so small that you're missing because you're looking for big things that are meant to be the instruments of your journey. And I'll give you an example because this one surprised me. When I started doing my inner healing work, um, I couldn't believe how many times this breakup that I had with an ex kept surfacing over and over and over. And I'm like, I've made my peace with this person. We weren't meant to be together, period. But my conscience kept pulling me in. You need to go deeper. You need to understand why it didn't work out because the impact of the rejection set my life up on a different course. That rejection is what I took, for me to make certain decisions in my life. So I had to keep reviewing it over and over. And I'm like, oh, I know we were just not meant to be together, but why? Why was that decision so impactful that it broke my heart? And it was so difficult for me to get over that heartbreak because heartbreaks, I believe, heartbreaks and death are the biggest life lesson givers, in my opinion. And I had to just sit with it for honestly, probably over a year until it finally hit me that that relationship was a projection of my fear of never being seen. It took a year to get there, to understand it,
When
because
it comes out as something very simple.
right.
There are no books, on what comes out. It's like you can often put it in one sentence and this is it.
That was it. I felt invisible in that relationship, and I would have done anything for that relationship to work because I would have kept trying to fight to be visible, and I was okay with that. And I didn't know that that was the problem, that I was okay with fighting with my invisibility instead of leaving environments where I was just tolerated and not celebrated. So that breakup, him breaking up with me and rejecting me, was a gift because it set me free from that trap.
Yes, this over and over and over again. This, when we don't get love, affection, attention that we think we need from outside, we can be mad about it. We can be shaking other people and asking and screaming, and we can feel bad about ourselves. But actually, what is trying to teach us how to love ourselves, how
Exactly.
to heal our wounds so that we don't need that attention from outside for us to feel worthy. When we know we are worthy, we know it doesn't matter what you or others think, I am still worthy
Hmm.
because I am content with me.
Yeah.
If you don't like me, it's still okay. You probably are not in my inner tribe.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But that fear of losing that inner tribe, you will not lose that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that, that person that I was in a relationship with, I was trying to force myself into a tribe I didn't belong to, but it was so normal and I wanted to be normal and I saw how normal it was and I was like, "Oh, let me in there, accept me." And everything was rejecting me and just saying, "No, you don't belong here." So because I hadn't gone through that maturation process and examined that, it hurts so bad. That rejection hurts so bad. But now I see it, okay, yeah, because I was being redirected somewhere else. But at the time, I don't see it that way. And same thing with jobs I wasn't able to land. Same things with anyone, that has their mind set on something and they think that this is the door for them and they want to have control over that, but they're like, no, this is not the job, this is not the relationship, this is not the time. It's so frustrating, but you're being redirected for a reason, and trusting that you're being redirected takes a great deal of spiritual introspection to understand that that is a beautiful thing that is happening, because our ego is like, oh, I wanted it so bad,
Yeah,
because
but
the frustration.
why is ego reacting so? Because we are told or we make a conclusion we are not good enough. And that's the basis of all. If we would know the frequency was not matching,
Hmm.
it doesn't matter which one is better, which one is less. It doesn't matter. Somewhere the frequency is not the same. So we are separating,
Hmm.
or the relationship has served its purpose.
Exactly.
It's not over, it's complete. It showed us what we needed to show, it taught us what we needed to learn. That's it, it's exhausted.
Yeah.
The
But if
thing
you,
that there is nothing more, but because we think, oh, damn, we are not good enough, they don't see how wonderful we are.
yeah,
Good, we are wonderful. These are not our people.
yeah,
It's they are not bad, we are not bad. It doesn't matter. All the stories, they don't matter. It was just okay. We met, we spent time, and we move away because they have their purpose in life and their path to cover, and we too. And that's for a while it was like matching, and now not anymore. We take the lessons, we take the experience, and we move on, loving ourselves.
yeah. It sounds really gentle the way you put it, but living day to day with that is uncomfortable. Is like, it's very challenging on the emotional body, because we get invested in the people that we come across. And even if they're not the right energetic match or not, there's attachment that is created. And if we have negative attachment styles, or we don't know our attachment styles, we put ourselves at risk of exposing ourselves energetically and attaching ourselves energetically to things that are not the right fit. That's why, self inquiry is so important, so that we can set boundaries so that we're not putting ourselves at risk of going through these constant lessons all the time, because some of us are more sensitive to emotional rejection. Some of us really get pulled down into the depths of darkness when things really don't go our way, and it's a hard road to recover from rejection. Does it get better over time? For some people, yes. And I can't speak to everybody because everybody has a different range of how their psyche can handle these sort of things, right? Because rejection is massive. We can't, skirt by it and just say, oh, it wasn't the right energetic match. Because if it worked that way, we wouldn't we wouldn't be complicated, messy humans that we are.
We are, and I mean, I am very emotional, and I am an attention sucker in the pure essence of me. I am,
Hmm.
but when I stop myself in my tracks, like, what has been happening here? Wait a minute. Um, the thing is, it's I noticed with me and also with my clients, you can't push it. You can't push to end the relationship. You can't push yourself um not to care about it, how it goes, like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter to me. No, it will not work like that. When you love yourself, there comes the time when it truly doesn't matter.
Hmm.
So whatever we do, if we keep on coming back to ourselves and giving that attention, like what you were telling, you would have done anything for that relationship to work,
Hmm.
which means you would have lost yourself.
100%.
And we all do that. So that person gave you enormous gift.
Yeah.
He gave your sacrifice of who you are giving to him. He said, thank you, but I don't need it.
Yeah. That's the part that hurt.
Yes, but if he would not have done that,
I know.
you would have lost yourself.
I know.
And in trying to gain him, you can never gain anybody by losing yourself.
Yeah. Excellent
Of
point.
course, it hurts. It hurts like hell. But the sooner we move through it,
Yeah.
we make space for somebody else to come. So always coming back to loving ourselves, that's the only recipe I have.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Don't give yourself away or self-sacrifice because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And we talked about not self-sacrificing in partnerships just for the sake of your children. Don't self-sacrifice yourself just for the sake of your ego and who you think you are.
And for
Don't.
what the others will think, and also for because you invested already so much
Mhm.
time, effort, whatever you invested, you always invest. And when that's like over, it hurts like hell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh yeah, and move on. And no, this moving on, it's it's difficult, just like you say. But when we give enough love to ourselves, it doesn't hurt anymore because it's like we can cut the cords. Like shamanic traditions are very much of
Yeah.
cutting cords and releasing the energy, and you can do that. But like truly the need for that relationship to work, to try to work, it falls off
Yeah.
because at certain point we become complete with ourselves
Yeah.
and uh, and loving ourselves.
Yeah.
And I don't say that relationships are not beautiful. Absolutely. And we get triggered there. That's why, like, we grow the most in the relationships.
100%.
Like, it's very easy to end the relationship. Oh, it doesn't work. we cut,
That's
we
it.
move on
Goodbye.
to
Yeah.
the next one or whatever. No, the relationships are here to teach us, to
Yeah.
show our triggers, to work through triggers. So if we have a relationship and we can work on it, that's fantastic. And then
Yeah.
again, all the relationships are there to last forever.
Yeah.
Yo,
I was saying this, I was having a conversation with my sister-in-law in the car the other day. I said to her that, um, I'm like, no offense. I'm like, but no one has made me more angry in this world than your brother. And, we're going on knowing each other for 22 years. We've been married for 11, going on 12 very soon. And I'm like, no one has made me so angry. But the difference is between this anger and anger I've experienced in other relationships is that this anger is transformative. It has a congruency that the anger becomes a like peace. In other relationships, anger stayed anger and it didn't have the actual potential to alchemize into inner peace or maturity and growth because there wasn't the balming of unconditional love. And in this marriage and this relationship that I'm in, I'm finding myself over and over again because every time I come to this point where I feel that anger, it's mostly anger that I have towards myself over something that I'm frustrated over, things that I haven't been able to accomplish. And Chris is not there to, to treat me like a baby. He's not there to, um, to make it easier for me. And he makes that pretty clear. And the expectations are high, and I get mad when the expectations are high, but he sees my highest self and he knows that eventually I make contact with my higher self and I work my way through it. So the lessons and the anger and everything that we go through, it's always comes back to I am unconditionally loved, because as I'm working through that process of frustration and anger, Chris is holding space for me where I'm not being judged, where I'm not being gaslit, where I'm allowed to grow and to be messy and to break out of to the cocoon and pull myself back in and rebirth myself over and over. And there isn't an expectation of when are you going to figure it out? Like there isn't anymore. Like I said, I had to destroy that part of the relationship, but he's not saying to me things that make me scared, things that make me feel like, oh my God, if I don't, he won't love me anymore. Because that was the conditioning I had as a child, that it was like, if I spoke out, I would get grounded. If I had an opinion, I would be corrected. If I didn't eat something, I would get the guilt trip. Oh my God, it's so expensive. So there was always a consequence growing up. And there was always, a little bit of, if you don't act the way I need you to act, you will get stonewalled. You will be, kind of pushed to the side. And I grew up with that. And that's why it was so hard to be authentic in my lesson learning, because I'm like, well, if I show anger or if I express something, are you going to stop loving me? Because that's what my experience of love was. So it was hard to step into that learning. But in this relationship that I have now, I'm allowed, I've given myself permission. There's freedom to be angry and there's freedom to alchemize. And I think that is a beautiful thing. And that's really what maturation is all about. And that's what unconditional love is all about, that it does look, and even as you're gifting it to yourself, you can get angry and you can get, really frustrated and the emotions really do run high. But as long as you can walk yourself through that process of alchemizing and turning the anger into peace and turning the anger into self-acceptance and self-compassion and self-worth, you are transcending and you are becoming the greatest version of yourself, because you're taking the things that are hardest for you to live with and you're transmuting them little by little.
I have nothing to add. I think it's a perfect moment to end this.
Okay. All right.
Beautiful.
Thank you. So we'll end it here and we'll just thank everyone so much for tuning in for our Mystic Cradle Chat episode 4. Yeah, this is an adventure. I'm loving these chats. And because we're going to be posting this and talking about this, we're going to invite you to share your takeaway and what, really resonated with you, what you want us to go deeper into. We are both such honest, raw people. We will, take on any direction and just flow with it. So thank you for being here.
Thank
Bye.
you.